Once again, welcome to the OLake Community Call. And this one honestly feels a bit special to go ahead and say this out loud that this is our 10th community call. Double digits, and of course, a while that might sound very massive at first glance. And for us also, it represents something very, very real. It means we have been consistently showing up, building in the open, and talking about what's working, what's not, and growing alongside this community over a long period of time. Initially, they were just a way for us to update a handful of some early users, but they were the people that were pretty interested about the ecosystem as has been there throughout. Over time, we have evolved and we are building something more meaningful, a space where features get discussed before they are fully baked, where contributors see their work getting talked about, and also where some new folks understand what OLake is, and also why they're building the way they are. We usually do this call every other month. So if you're one joining us for the first time, we do this every other month. You can go ahead and find us in February as well, and every other month showing up. And each time we try to bring together everything that's happened in between those feature releases, connector updates, blog posts, documentation improvements, contributor programs, and even some community initiatives. The fruitful of one that is Ankit, who has joined us from our community initiatives and also around the contributor ecosystem. Today's call follows around the same spirit, and also we're going to go ahead and talk about some new features. Yes, we'll talk about some new resources, blogs, documentation, and more importantly, how this all shaped the complete contributor system around OLake, because that's honestly where a lot of the momentum is also heading on. Over the last few months, we have had contributors joining us through SWOC, through smaller internal programs, and even before through Hack2Go Fest. And that's what really exciting, as these are the people that are not just contributors, people are coming and understanding the system and also staying involved. And that's usually the strongest signal that an open source project is on the right path. So before we dive in properly, let's just have a quick warm up sometime that we do every other time. Just hop onto the chat. Let me see all of you folks joining us, saying hi wherever you're joining us from, and tell us what you want to go ahead and are curious about in this particular call, whether it's connector, whether it's iceberg at the end of the day, or if you're just looking forward to contribute. And if you have some questions in mind, you will notice a particular questions tab at the bottom right. You can just go ahead and use it. And that's the right place to put them. I will either pick them up when we are discussing. Maybe Ankit is going ahead and discussing about his architecture. You might have some questions around the S3 connector architecture. You can put them there and we will target them right away. And even if we don't, at the end, I will make sure all of your questions get answered. So right now, this is a bit of a casual conversation and slowly we're going to go ahead and cover all of our agenda. So thanks a lot, everyone who's joining us. Go on to the chat. Everyone who's joining us from our team at Datasets, go or head on to the chat. Tell us wherever you are joining us from, and we will love to have a quick chat around. In our complete set of slides, we will also have some QR. So make sure you are right there with your phones. Get ready to scan some documentation. Get ready to scan some blogs, and also go there. Maybe just go and reproduce some of the things from yourself. Go ahead and see and try all of our new features. So hello Tushar, thanks a lot. And he's also joining us from Bangalore. Thanks a lot. I'm also joining from Bangalore. Let's meet soon, hopefully. And then we have Duke, who is also typing. He is also part of our team, who is also maybe joining us from Bangalore. And hello, Duke. So thanks a lot to everyone. Just go ahead and hop onto the chat. Let's make this much more meaningful. Let's make this a more conversational. And for everyone out there, let's just go ahead and try to keep it as interactive as possible. So I'm going to stay updated with the chat. If your questions are popping on there as well, I will make sure to address them so you don't have to worry even about that. So hi, Merlin, hi, Sandeep, and hi, everyone out there. So let's just go and talk about our recent feature releases, shall we? So firstly, if you are someone who's interested around the features, let's just go ahead and set the context for today. So the way today is structured is, of course, pretty straightforward as usual. We will start about talking about some recent connector releases, especially the MS SQL, DB2, and S3. These have been some of the most requested integrations from the community and the most requested sources, especially from the teams who are working on the side of enterprise and even some regulated environments. After that, we will also go ahead and touch briefly onto the side of MOR to COW migration, which Nan, who's going to be joining us from the dataset, will be covering that out. And not as a deep technical walkthrough. And if you are nerdy like me, you can just go ahead and scan the QR and just go to the blog and see how our approach looks like. And this is how the complete context will evolve. And of course, we will go ahead and talk about some job profiles and scheduling improvements. One of the very integral things if you are using OLake at scale, if you're using it in a company and an organization or are looking forward to do that, this is one of the good features that's going to be really, really helpful for you. We will also cover some UI updates where you can just go ahead and take a look at our all the new releases. If you are not there on our community calls, definitely you can check out some new releases through our OLake UI only. Be it OLake UI, be it Helm, or be it our core repository. So nothing to heavy, nothing to rush, but most importantly, being our Arrow integration. So that's where one of our contributors from our company, and the Badal, who's going ahead and contributing around the complete ecosystem of Apache Arrow, has contributed it, and we will be also covering that out. So this is the complete agenda, and this is how the things would revolve. If you have any other set of questions, as I stated, the questions tab is open. So these are all of our enterprise database resources. And I've already told the big companies out there, the big institutions, the big financial companies, these are the ones that work around with these set of sources. For example, there are some legacy companies, for example, in banks that use MS SQL till today. We have IBM DB2, which is a surface a lot of companies do rely on. But if they want to go ahead and bridge the gap between these legacy systems all the way to Apache Iceberg, that is the modern tool of the lakehouse, that's where the OLake comes in. You can just go ahead and take care of all of these, and our complete new database ecosystem help you to go ahead and stay updated. If you have and working around it, our contributors are there to help you on Slack, have a conversation with them if you feel any other kind of issues. And of course, ST connector being another. So as I stated, these relational databases as a source are one of the things that we have added. We have IBM, DB2, we have MS SQL, but also it's necessary that you stay updated why it matters. A lot of folks and a lot of community have this kind of questions of how you can go ahead and envelop all of them around the OLake ecosystem. And that's where all of our past releases have been around. We help you to go ahead and provide the functionality of full refresh and incremental sync on MS SQL and DB2. And if you are using CDC, that's also you can do with MS SQL. In IBM DB2, you can go ahead and experiment it around by using the IBM Ionosphere. So that is one of the functionality IBM provides if you just want to go ahead and experiment with the CDC. So their complete log ecosystem, so all of the logs and everything is a bit much exclusive. So that's if you want to just go ahead and play around with some logs. That's only happens if you have this functionality of IBM Infosphere. So that is one of their exclusive software that IBM provides. And not only that, you can also work around with some parallel chunking and automation. So as I have already told, a lot of big companies and a lot of financial institutions out there work around with terabytes or petabytes of data. And that's, of course, where Apache Iceberg shines. We give you the functionality of auto resume. Well, what it is, consider you have petabytes or terabytes of data. All of the data is getting ingested in, but at some point of time, there's some issues that get dropped in. Maybe there can be issues, something around some internet connections. There can be all the kind of different issues that can sprout up. That's where auto resume comes in. You can just go ahead and checkpoint that thing around, and then you can just go ahead and start up your sync again without any set of issues. But if you're working around with MS SQL or DB2, it's necessary that you stay updated with the kind of architecture they require. At OLake, if you are just going ahead and experimenting with them, you can start off with OLake UI or CLI. If you have used our other set of contain connectors, you might have seen that our documentation covers all of these things around. Our documentation have all the sources. If you just want to see OLake UI and CLI, let's just switch off tabs where you can go ahead and experiment with all the set of commands. And of course, you want to keep things convenient. One thing I would recommend is starting off with OLake UI. You can configure with both of or either of these, but make sure to use MS SQL Server that is above 2017 version. And also, we have DB2 that's go ahead and provide you the stats-based chunking for a much efficient sync. If you just want to go ahead and see it out for yourself, make sure you scan these QR codes. That will take you to our documentation. And if you are nerdy enough, you just want to go ahead and see the complete approach, our blogs are also there. Make sure to hit that blogs tab, see how it's working for you, and just check out all our new set of blogs that we have published. And of course, why it matters is one of the integral things. For every other community person out there, this is one platform that will provide the efficiency of taking care of your recent sources, also your enterprise databases. So now you can go ahead and experiment with some legacy systems, and also your Postgres, MongoDB, all of these are also existent in your simple OLake ecosystem. So that's more around it. But we have more features coming in. One being the MOR to COW. So if you're someone who is looking onto the side of how we go ahead and make things fast and how we emerge as one of the fastest data ingestion tool in the world, these are the improvements that we look upon. There are a lot of things that we have to cover. And just to give a very much high level view, if you're using OLake CDC into Iceberg, You might have seen how it works with the equality deletes. There are some data bricks, there are some Snowflake query engines that provide you not a functionality of using around with equality deletes. And of course, this is one of the things over the CDC keeps running, tables naturally accumulate with the data files and multiple data files. And that's, of course, a problem that comes at the end of the day. You can think where this functionality shines is when the MOR to CW migration comes in, you can think of it as a periodically way of taking all of those pending changes of all of those deletes, updates, inserts, and resolving them into a clean table. So that was a simple high level view, but of course, this requires a better much approach. It requires an approach which can give you a way of an engineer of how he solved it. So that's where we have Nan, who's going to give you a quick demo around it. So Nan, over to you. You are welcome onto the stage.
Hi guys. Yeah, I think I'm audible right now. Okay. Hey guys, so today I'll be talking about the MOR to CW script that has been written by OLake. So as we have been noticing, a lot of companies are adopting Iceberg right now. But there is one problem that has been called out a lot in our community, which is about the interoperability. So many teams are ingesting their data into Iceberg using MOR strategy because it's fast and efficient. That works great for the writer side. But the issue shows up when we try to query this data. Some engines like Databricks and Snowflake, they today don't fully honor Iceberg equality deletes. So even though the table is perfectly valid table in Iceberg, these query engines are unable to query the Iceberg tables. We in OLake, we write the CDC using merge on read with equality delete files as well. So because that's most efficient approach we have. So what we have built here is a simple automation script that periodically resolves the merge on read state tables into a clean copy on write versions. So the idea is simple and straightforward. We want the script to run alongside OLake ongoing ingestion and make sure that they both work together without causing any hindrance. So the script relies basically on the Iceberg snapshot isolation. So there is no locking and no downtime to it. So some important points about the script that I like to talk about is the most important one is it is idempotent. It tracks the progress using a checkpoint strategy. So either the script crashes or we re-trigger the script, it will make sure that it safely resumes from where it left and most importantly does not cause duplication of data. It also handles the schema evolution automatically. So let's say you end up changing your schema on the MOR table. It will, before making the sync to the COW, it will make sure that both the schemas for MOR and COW are aligned. If not, it will make sure we align it so that there is no discrepancy. And the third is from a user perspective, it is very simple to use and easy. You just have to provide your OLake credentials to it and the script will start running. And you get a Databricks or Snowflake compatible COW table on your disk. And yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting approach. And of course, if you are someone who want to see how it happens, of course, every other engineer who builds the things out there wants to see some issues happening in the real world, right? You can't just like, for example, we didn't have the one where we go ahead and have some other scientists and engineers. All of them get those things sprouted by some kind of insight. That's where this blog that was written by Nan will help you. It will go ahead and discuss of what are these issues in the real world and at the same time where they go ahead and fall into the use case for you. We have a complete script where we talk about the approach, where we are completely segmenting each of those commands of where we are incorporating it. And at the same time, it's great to see everyone who's joining along. So at the same time, let me just go ahead and skip on to the next set of slides as well, because very soon we're going to go ahead and have a good discussion around with Ankit. That's one of the contributors that's going to be covering us. But before that, thanks a lot to everyone who has joined. So hi, Sule, thanks a lot for joining us from Turkey. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and sorry if I'm not. And then we have Sri Charan. Hello, hi, if you're joining us from Bangalore. Hi, Ursulan. Hi, we have another person, Goksu from Turkey. Great to know how it's great being there. And Harsha, who is joining us from States. Great. It's great to see all of those people. And of course, Harsha is also joining us. So hi everyone. Make sure that you are updated with the current ecosystem. And if you don't worry, if you might have missed any of those parts, don't worry. We have a complete recording that we will take care. So we will be sending you our recording as well. But before that, these thing of the live stream and these thing of the complete taking things live is also very integral because that's where you can put on your set of questions. And hi, Mayuk. Thanks a lot for joining us from Kolkata. So up next, we have another set of approaches and another set of improvements because we definitely have a lot before as we are talking about a complete amalgamation of the complete set of releases and everything we have been doing in our past months. So next, I want to go and talk about something that we have been quietly improving under OLake for the teams that are running under scale, job profiles and scheduling. Earlier, we relied on job mappings, and they worked, but they were fairly basic. You had limited control over where the jobs ran, how the resources were isolated, and how the complete things around the resource boundaries look like, how the different workloads interacted with each other. But this also led to some operational issues. If you are someone who just want to go ahead and see what happens on the ingestion jobs and the maintenance job compete for the resources, you can only see that happen at scale. What happens when one noisy workload impacts everything else? That's another issue that comes along. Job profiles address all of this directly. With job profiles, you can isolate your workloads, define some resource boundaries, and make scheduling much, much more predictable. You can decide where you can run those jobs, how much of the memory they can consume, and how much better they can go ahead and coexist with each other in your complete Kubernetes cluster. So this of course might sound exciting, but it is of course very great if you go and find yourself out working around at scale. And that's where you can just go ahead and head on to our complete set of documentation to start off. So this particular QR, you can just go ahead and scan it. Once you have scanned it, you can go ahead and find of how the complete documentation looks like. There might be some small boxes where we have discussed of the deprecation notice where our complete previous approach of using job profiles have been deprecated and we have moved on to the side of job profiles. So very interesting to do that. And also you can go ahead and control your job placement and everything using the node labels. Pretty interesting to see if you just want to go ahead and keep things much more predictable and much more better if you're working around with that. So these are all the QRs to help you along the way. And up next, we have one of the great integrations that is Arrow. So if you can just tell me if that's one of the great issues, I can completely agree with you. Why? Because all our set of connectors and everything out there have a kind of a thing that relies on each other. A connector or some configuration is something that works around side by side, right? But arrow-based Iceberg ingestion was one of the core features that we were working with. We not only contributed this thing to Pi Iceberg repository, but also worked onto the side of OLake. So this is a new edition where we are pretty excited to talk about, and of course, it's around the arrow-based Iceberg ingestion. At a high level, what we have done here is simply we have went ahead and make your data much more simplified and speed up of how data moves OLake to the Iceberg. Instead of constantly overwriting data between different formats, as it moves through the pipeline, we represent it directly in Apache Arrows in memory columnar format. That means far less serialization overlaid and of course, much more efficient data movement between components. Because less transformation, of course, leads to much more efficiency. And because of that, the data flows almost straight through from the source to the ingestion and into the Iceberg tables. Practically, what this gives you is faster end-to-end ingestion, better CPU and memory efficiency, and Iceberg tables that are analytics ready almost immediately when the write completes. So pretty interesting approach to see that around. And of course, every other person out there is a contributor, and that was Badal Forest. Badal contributed this issue to the Pi Iceberg repository, and we at OLake are doing the same thing along for the other set of contributors that are joining us. So of course, as I stated, this approach of the arrow works pretty great if you're working on with both batch or incremental ingestion, and it's especially useful when you're pushing high volumes of data and want to keep the data latency completely low without adding complexity, because no one likes that at the end of the day. And if you want to go deeper, we have also published a detailed blog walking through of how it works, how you can use the arrow-based ingestion tool, and also there is a QR code you can go ahead and implement for that. So think of it as another building block that helps OLake stay fast, predictable, and scalable as the workloads grow, especially in the lakehouse style setups. So if you are interested and just want to go ahead and see that particular pull request I'm talking about again and again in Iceberg Go, you can just go ahead and check it out. And I will go and make sure to send you that as well. So make sure you're updated on the complete ecosystem we are evolving on. And of course, you can find the recent updates on our LinkedIn as well. So next up is another set of features. But now the things get very, very interesting because right now we're going to go ahead and talk about the S3 source architecture. And that's driven up by Ankit. Ankit is a contributor who joined us, OLake ecosystem very recently and has a really great story of how he came across it, why it found it interesting, and where he went ahead and started developing a contribution right from the scratch. S3 source connector. And right now we're going to go ahead and talking a deep dive into the architecture of how it works now. A complete blog on it is also over here. And also, if you just want to go ahead and check out the architecture, let's display it on our next slide. So, Ankit, I would like to welcome you on the stage.
Hey guys,
Hi,
can you
Ankit.
hear me now? Right?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. I am Ankit and I work primarily in data platforms and lakehouse architectures. Over the last several years, I have been dealing with the problems around large-scale data ingestions, storage optimizations, and making analytical system reliable and the cost efficient. Today, I'll share how I came across OLake, why it is resonated with the real problems we face in productions, and then walk you through the high level architecture of how OLake helps move massive S3 based data into the open analytical ready Iceberg tables. So, how I came to OLake basically. So basically, in my organization, we start with a simple goal. We have terabytes or petabytes of raw files sitting in the S3 buckets in the format of CSV, JSON, and the Parquet. So basically, internally, we are converting those files into the CSV, JSON, and the Parquet format depending on the nature of the business use cases. And then basically, we want to turn them into a something queryable, reliable, in the open format. But in practice, basically, ingestion becomes complicated. Uh, why? Because takes data take days to ingest the data. Incremental sync is fragile. Each schema evolution breaks pipelines. State handling and the retries are usually custom built and the hard to maintain. So when I started evaluating open solutions that treat ingestion as a first class principle, first class problem, not just a one of ETL job, Oleg stood out. It brings structure to the whole life cycle, like discovery, backfill, incremental sync, state, and the destination management, while staying open and the composable. That's what led me to dig deeper into the architecture and then eventually adopt it as a core ingestion layer. So, right,
Yeah, beautiful. Works.
perfect. So basically, I'll give you the step by step like how I came to the approach. So this is the business context. Let me zoom out more. Yeah. So basically, what happens at the top, we have the business goal, a company data lake initiatives. So there are terabytes of documents in S3, and the objective is to convert this raw data into a queryable format, which is the Iceberg tables, so that query engine like Athena, Trino, Spark, or even AI pipelines can consume it reliably. Okay, so the layer afterwards, basically the OLake architecture layer, where I didn't make any changes, but OLake starts with a unified orchestration layer, like the CLI exposes simple lifecycle commands, specification checks, check configuration, discovery of the new files, and the sync of the destination layer. But behind that is the core engine that manages states, parallelism, the try and fault handling, fault tolerance, and the coordination between source drivers and the destination writers. So this specific separation is important because it means ingestion logic is declarative and repeatable, not a collection of ad hoc scripts. Okay. Uh, so okay. So this is the S3 source driver where I started my work. So basically, it has the three main concerns. One is the configurations, where I did the configuration about the AWS bucket authentications in based on the IAM roles and the access key and the secret key basis. And second configuration is related to basically CSV formats or the JSON format and the Parquet format with the GZIP compressions. And the third one basically, is the threads, retries, and patterns. Okay, so we can define the retry policies over there. Second point is comes with the backfills. Backfill is the discovery of the historical files, grouping them in biological streams, chunking large files, and efficiently processing them in parallel. Incremental, third part is the incremental of the main component of the S3 source wrapper, which is the incremental, maintaining a cursor, typically based on the last modified time. So only new or changed data is picked up, enabling continuous sync instead of the full reloads. This is where OLake becomes state aware rather than the batch only. And then basically, yeah. So once files are selected, OLake uses a range-based reader. This is specifically, especially basically powerful for the Parquet formats because it allows streaming and the column level reads instead of full file downloads. On top of that, format-specific parsers is infer schema and the stream records in a unified way, regardless of whether the source is CSV, JSON, or the Parquet. So this is the common utility we have. And the fourth layer, which is the final layer, where we are writing data into the destination side. So finally, data lands in the destination layer. OLake writes into the Iceberg tables on S3 and manages table creations, partitions, commit semantics, and the cursor tracking for exactly once or at least once in ingestion guarantees. These Iceberg tables then become the system of record, queryable by engine like Athena, Trino, Spark, or any modern data lakehouse tools. To summarize, OLake provides an end-to-end open and reliable path from raw object storage to the analytical ready Iceberg tables with a strong guarantee around state, scalability, and the incremental processing. For me, what makes it compelling is what it treats ingestion as a platform capability rather than just a pipeline, which is exactly what modern data platform needs. Thanks for having me, Akshay. I'm happy to take your questions in at the end.
So that was a great approach on the side. But of course, Ankit, as you might see, that there are other set of contributors that are also joining in. How do you think, like, of course, there was a long chat between you and Vikas where you were working on the side of the pull request before it got merged. How did you like that complete flow? Like, is there any particular space that you liked? Or, of course, there are a lot of connectors that have joined us. And is there a kind of a brief sense that you kind of a note that you want to provide to all of the set of contributors that are joining us?
Yeah, sure, Akshay. So basically, my first PR, is what it was a long PR. It was around 20-25 files around it. And at the first phase, a lot of feedback comes from the Vikas. And when I was working with this S3 connector, I feel like, the code quality is most important, the OLake community, where I come into the picture. And we modified a lot of code. We refactored a lot of code within a PR. And then, at the end, basically, I'm happy to merge that PR file, after a month in the main branch. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like I have seen, like I've seen a lot of contributors who join us, right? There are a lot of conversations that happen. So I think, and that's one of the fruitful thing as well. A lot
Yeah.
of folks get to know about the architecture on a very, very deep level, and at the same time they get
Right.
much interested. So, like, what's your next approach? Is there anything else you have in mind that you are looking forward to contribute right now at Ole?
Might be I'll take a look at the transformation layer between the S3 files and at the end of the Iceberg tables. So I spoke earlier with the Shubham, and then we were planning to we can analyze the stuff, but let's see where it goes.
Okay, that's interesting. So thanks a lot, Ankit. Thanks a lot for coming and thanks a lot for dropping here. And we would love to soon have you in our future community calls. And best of luck on all of your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, guys. So we're gonna be starting off back. And right now we have the complete approach as back as I've stated around the architecture. It was a great discussion around the same, but right now a better thing is of course if we keep things much more detailed onto the side of a blog and as well onto the side of a demo. So that's where one of our engineers, Vikash, who's going to be joining us soon for covering everything around within demo. And of course, if you're interested, the blogs and docs are of course there to guide you. Vikas, you are welcome onto the stage where you will give a quick demo around the same. And of course, not to say it out loud, Nan will also be showcasing us the complete contribution. So, Vikas, you can go ahead and join in.
Yeah. Uh, am I audible?
Yeah, you are completely audible.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone. For today, I would walk through you source creation of S3 and job creation S3 to Iceberg loop. So, then click on create source. Yeah, you can name demo job S3. As you can see, you can set frequency as per your preference here. We would be going to set up a S3 source here. You can name source as per your preference as well. Here you can configure your storage bucket. So we would be using DC OLake testing here. And it would be your storage reason. You can even use access key and secret key, but we have configured IAM role, so you can also create source help of that as well, IAM role as well. Here we would be filling path prefix, which is important field here because the bucket name plus path prefix would help you to like skip the folders in between your uh, like folder where you have stored your CSV park or JSON files in your object storage. So it would help you. You can read more about in our S3 docs as well. Here in the compression time, we would be selecting. You can select. We support gzip and zip, so we would be selecting gzip as we have CSV files and gzip CSV files as well. Here you can configure your CSV specific uh, properties. Similarly, we support JSON and Parquet as well. Yeah, yeah, we would be now going to create a Iceberg blue destination here. Yeah, in the S3 path. Yeah, here also we are using IAM roles, so no need to provide access key security. Here strings is stands for the whatever the folder you have in the object storage, which includes all your object files. You can turn on the normalization here. You can choose full refresh plus incremental mode. Is in S3 we supports full refresh or full refresh plus incremental mode, both the modes. Since Ankit have already explained how we support incremental using the last modified time from which the S3 provides us with each each file metadata. Yeah, we that's how you can create a job by clicking here, create job.
So, thanks a lot for this quick demo. And right now,
Yeah,
as you can see, our job has created, I guess, Vikas.
yeah. Yes, job is created. You can manually trigger, or it would be triggered when you have scheduled when as per your cron frequency. Yeah, it started. So, as you can see, it is that simple. You can start in few minutes only. Might take some time because it takes some data and GBs. Yeah, you can see it's almost in 6 million records. Yeah, the job is succeed, and you can see your data in uh, with query with Athena or any query engine, whatever you prefer. Yeah. In the database, refresh once. Demo underscore S3. Yeah, this one. Preview table, click. Yeah, since you can see here is we have multiple you can see multiple CSV data types to Iceberg.
Okay, so I think that's a great approach, I guess, because that thanks a lot for the quick demo, and of course, thanks a lot to you, Nan, for pushing it out there. And let's just go ahead and give a quick thanks to all Vikas and
Yeah.
for their set of contribution. And of course, right now, if someone is interested to go ahead and check this out for themselves, they can check it out at the blog and docs. And as you can guys see, Ankit was one of the core contributors that contributed this, and Vikas was the one that was taking care of all the approaches. So pretty great and pretty great to see it out loud for everyone out there. So that's our main intention is here Vikas guided Nan of how he can go ahead and get the complete data ingestion working. At the same time, if you're just doing it on your end, this is how you will also reproduce it. And as you can see, it worked pretty fine. And the demo gods, finger crossed, they also worked for us. So up next, we have some OLake UI panel updates. And also that is one of the very integral ones. If you are someone who's updated with our community calls, you are pretty much updated with all of our releases as well, because that's where we talk about all our new features. But we have also rolled out some new UI improvements. Nothing radical, but of course, something meaningful refinements. We have some cleaner panels, a better visibility where you can go ahead and at the bottom left, you can find an option of how you can go ahead and stay updated with the releases, be it of the OLake UI, be it of the OLake core repository, or be it of the OLake help. As you can see in this particular screenshot that I have attached in this particular slide, you can see it how you can just go over and check all of our releases there, stay updated with them. At the same time, if you're someone who's just going to see of all our number improvements and how you can go ahead and ingest your data much, much faster because every other update or so we get some better numbers out there. That's where all of these releases are going to be stay updated. And most of our users experiment with OLake UI. So if you just don't want to go ahead and grab your head and on the GitHub every now and then, you can just go ahead and stay updated with our OLake UI. And of course, before you do that, it's very necessary to see this option for you. Make sure that you scan our docs here, go and head on to the documentation and update it for yourself. It's a one single command that does and takes care of it. So as simple as that. And up next, we have some performance updates. Every now and then, our engineers have been working to go ahead and provide you a functionality of how you can go ahead and ingest your data to Iceberg much, much faster and with as less latency as possible from a PR number 657, where you can see all of our contribution and all the refactoring we did, because at the end of the day, we are an open source product. You can see it for yourself from a version 0.3.14. If you're not there, you can just go ahead and update it for yourself with the same command I told earlier. You can see of all of these improvements. You can see of how we were pushing on to the numbers of 319562 rows per second that were, of course, still high as compared to all our set of other competitors, be it Airbyte, Fivetrend, DBZM, and even Estuary. We had some great numbers going around there. But right now, we also have some better numbers. How is through all of the work that has been done by the engineers in that particular PR. So you can just go ahead and find yourself up there, and this provides us with around 80% increase. So now you can go ahead and get our rows synced much, much faster, and now your data gets ingested at a much faster level. And slowly we are advancing on to the complete end of this community call. But before that, we need to discuss about some consumer studies as well, because that's where all of our consumers and everyone who has worked at, be it ByteSpeed, be it Cordial, be it AstroTalk, all of these companies are the ones that have went ahead and experimented with the approach of using OLake in their systems. And their complete approach, the engineers that worked with us, and at the same time, the engineers that provided us their case study of the approach is where you can find these. You can just go and head on to olake.io/customers where you can find these ones. And also some new case studies will be frequently added. And that's where our LinkedIn will be going ahead and taking care of it. So you can stay updated and find all of these around. And these are, of course, pretty interesting as well. If you are someone from an organization, want to pitch it out to your managers, if you are a contributor who just want to see of how it works around for all of the set of organization, you can see their approach, see their architecture, and of how the before and after improvements look like. So that's an interesting approach as well. Now, we have to, at the same time, cover around the blocks and resources. Every nerdy person out there, like myself or every other engineer, wants to go ahead and educate themselves with some new resources. We have been continuously helping around the complete Apache Iceberg ecosystem. That's where someone who wants to go ahead and start or just want to go ahead and stay updated, our resources help you to do that. We have published some new set of blogs, be it experimenting by using ClickHouse, be it experimenting by using the Apache Arrow, the one that we recently dived upon. At the same time, if you just want to go ahead and check out the NANS approach of the MOR to COW, you can find all of these blogs around. And then we like to keep things as transparent as possible for you. So you can check all of these out. If you still have some set of questions, our community would be there to guide you. So you can find all of these at olake.io/blog. And if you're interested, you can just go ahead and contribute as well. If you are interested for a blog, we would welcome your contributions too. And here's the contributor spotlight. As I was talking about some set of contributors, we have been joined by some great set of contributors through some programs, be it Hacktoberfest or SWOC, or they just found us from LinkedIn. We had some great spikes of contributions happening all along the way in the past few months, and this is the time to go ahead and thank them. And that's where we're going to go ahead and cover all of these approaches where all of these contributors did shine. So we have had contributors joining us from different through programs like SWOC, Hacktoberfest, and also developers who also simply picked up some issues just from the GitHub because they wanted to learn, improve, or just want to go ahead and build up their resumes and contribute to the ecosystem better. And what's especially great to see is their range of work, from connectors, security improvements, to the performance, to the testing, and even some ecosystem integrations, which was, of course, S3. I will quickly walk through some of the contributions they did, some of the great ones that did shine us for us. And of course, this is just a snapshot where we won't be starting off with all the set of contributors, starting off with Manish Bisht. Manish worked on very core platform improvements. He added support for selecting exactly which columns to sync, and of course, improved the security by adding some SSH XX for the MongoDB. This is the PR he's also currently working upon. If you just want to go ahead and check it, here are the PR numbers for the same. If you could just go ahead and find them along for you as well. And then we have Siddhant Rai. Siddhant focused heavily onto the side of database reliability and performance. He worked on MySQL SSL and also implemented the JDBC configuration improvements. And not only that, this helped and worked directly impact on how robust and scalable our database connectors have become. And right up next, we have, of course, Ankit Singhal. Ankit Singhal went ahead above and beyond and built the complete S3 connector from scratch, added CSV to JSON, Parquet support, and these are the pull requests where you can find them, and you can find all of the contributions. Each set of pull requests have tons of conversations in them, and that's where our developers and the contributors are welcome. We have some good short discussions. We have some great reviews around it. At the same time, you can find out how all of those conversations went through. And if you are contributing, maybe you can get a good grasp of how our developers help you along the way. And not only those, we have some others as well, where we have Tejas Tiwari, who expanded the OLake ecosystem by bringing in the Elasticsearch and, of course, OpenSearch support. And alongside that, he also solved a tricky Postgres error replication bug. So that was also one of the great highlights by him. He came up along the way through SWOC, the Social Winter of Core program. And it's great to see all of the things that we've been working around. And it's a great, consistent approach. And at the same time, we like to keep all of these things awarded through our bounty programs. And finally, we have Harshvardhan, who focused on improving our testing and reliability and added some comprehensive unit tests to help the complete type comparison compatibilities. And of course, this helps us ensure the correctness and gives us more confidence to work on how to see the code base evolving around. So this was a brief around that, and you can just go ahead and head on to our GitHub repository because, of course, you just want to get a shout out up next. You would be welcoming you along the way. These are their GitHub URLs. You can just find at the rate root daemon. You can find those people at the GitHub. But at the same time, if you want to be a part of our community and also be a part of a contributor spotlight, you can just go ahead and scan off this QR code, head on to our GitHub issues. We have a ton of to do. We have a ton of good first issues and good second issues you can work on. We have labeled them accordingly. You can just go ahead and start it off. And if you have some set of issues, our Slack is there to keep you updated on that. Go ahead and explore our GitHub repository, see the documentation and blogs to help you along the way. Maybe our company people or people from our community can help you to point you to the right set of blog. But of course, that is you still going to be taking care of that. Some example starter issues are, of course, you can find 757 or 759. These are one of the ones that are welcome. But at the end of the day, if you just scan this QR, you can find some ton of recent to-do issues that we have recently announced because there are new connectors and, of course, there are some new resources that are joining us. So we would love to welcome the contributions from your end. And at the same time, this is going to be a wrap. We had some great chat and everything around it. We had some great chat on the new improvements. We had some great chats on the connectors and everything. And of course, one of the first time where we had some set of contributors talking about their side of contributions through Ankit. So we would love to see if you have any other set of questions right now. You can just go ahead and post them there in the questions tab. And if you don't, just go ahead and check out the recording once again. I will send you through a Luma Blast. And at the same time, our Slack is there to help you. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to everyone. Thanks a lot to Nan. Thanks a lot to Vikas. Thanks a lot to Ankit and everyone who joined us. And thanks a lot for coming along in our community call. So, and that's all. So if you have any other kind of questions, you can point them there. I'm just going to wait a minute or two for that. And before we wrap up, if you just want to get a good grasp of what new things we are working on, if you have some set of questions around the architecture or anything, you can point them there. So I'm just gonna wait a minute, and I guess okay. So So that's all, folks. If you have questions, as usual, you can find me there on Slack. And thanks a lot for staying along. And we would love to have you in another community call. That's going to be number 11. Bye bye.